Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Ravemen NT201 bike rear radar taillight. Bike radar systems have become nearly ubiquitous these days, with every brand offering their own variation rather than the Garmin Varia being the only option on the market. Thanks to the increased competition, there's a lot more budget-friendly options like the Ravemen NT201 that we have here that offers nearly identical specs at a lower price point. The NT201 is one of the latest radars on the market and utilizes both ANT+ and Bluetooth communication to make it compatible with just about every GPS head unit on the market. Packaging-wise, you can see you have a nice little cutout with the radar right on the front, the orange and black color scheme that we see with a lot of Ravemen products, then specs printed on the side and back. I'll go ahead and open this up, we'll go over the full specs. Retail price on this is $99.95. It has a 140 meter range, which makes it competitive with just about all the other radars on the market. The taillight is rated for 80 lumen output, so pretty bright, and it has a brake sensor, so it'll automatically switch to a special mode when it detects that you're slowing down. It also has USB-C chargeable, and it even has a miniaturized Garmin mount for easy mounting. As far as what comes with it, we have the radar, warranty card, instruction manual, a USB-C to standard USB cable for charging. You even get a saddle rail mount, which is the standard friction fit. You get a seat post mount with this nice rubber backing, a safety tether, and then an additional zip tie to secure the saddle rail to the rail. Now let's take a look at the weight of the radar. So the radar by itself is 67 grams. The seat post mount is 14, and then the saddle rail mount with one of the zip ties is only 4 grams. Visually, the Ravemen NT201 has a simple rectangular form factor with the main LED on the top and then the bike radar surface underneath it. The design is an evolution of the Garmin Varia with similar side window cutouts that go all the way around the body, and then this more squared off profile that we've seen with the Bryton Gardia. To help differentiate the radar from other ones on the market, you can see they've added this little crease that goes down the center and results in this little pyramid shape. So it's kind of a unique molding that helps it stand out from an otherwise just standard rectangle shape. You can see the body is just plastic, big radar surface like you see with all the radars that helps it see cars behind you, a single LED on the top with the red transparent lens, and a little circular cutout. And then on the inside, you can actually see that LED with a little transparent body and pretty thin overall form factor, and also very lightweight with the mount on top. You have the little safety tether cutout here on the top, power button there, a little LED indicator for low battery status, and then a USB Type-C charging port on the bottom side. You can see there's actually no branding on the outside of the body, which is pretty unusual. You would think it would write Ravemen or something here. The only marking here is NT201 and then the Ravemen website on the back side, which is a little bit unusual. You would have thought they would put it in more places. As far as mounting, this is actually just standard Garmin mount. It's smaller than your standard Garmin mount though, so you can see the diameter is quite a bit smaller, so it's a miniaturized one. It's a little bit bigger than the Magicshine one, so their CME taillights are a little bit thinner, so it's not compatible with that. But they do include 2 mounts, so same twist-on style, very secure. You get the seat post mount, and you can see simple plastic construction with a hook, nice rubber strap, and you can see pretty thick. On the back side, you have the padding in rubber with different cutouts, so it can do round, D-shaped, or arrow seat posts pretty simply. You also have the option to saddle rail mount it. So you can see you can put this on here. It's simple friction fit, but they include the zip ties here that you can put around for just a little bit of extra peace of mind. And you do have to have a round saddle rail. So if you have a carbon rail that's oversized, these don't really work that well, but it gives it a more sleek look if you have it underneath your saddle. The user interface is really simple. 1 button. You can actually press it when it's off to see the battery status, but it's really confusing. So the LED for the battery status is here, and it'll only shine if it's over 30% or under 30%, it'll go red. And then if it's under 5, it should flash. If it's fully charged like this one is, nothing happens. If I hold it to turn it on, it's about 1.5 seconds. Single press to cycle through the modes, and you can see a nice focused LED. There's 6 different modes with different flash options and 2 constant modes. And you can see when it's on, you do get that nice illumination. It's a little bit dimmer on the bottom and sides, but brighter on the edges. That gives a little bit of side visibility. There's also a auto off and auto on feature and the brake sensor. You can enable or disable it by holding the power button for 5 seconds, and it'll either flash fast or slow. So I think that was fast, so now it's on. And when this is on and it detects braking, it'll switch to a brighter output mode for 2 seconds to notify people behind you that you're actually slowing down. And it's hard to trigger here on the table, but when we're riding, we'll show you that. You can also disable the feature if you want extended runtime. So again, hold the button for 5 seconds, and then it'll flash slowly or fast like we have here. So pretty simple overall, and it would have been nice if this indicator actually showed you what the battery was instead of just being off when it's above 30%. Now let's take a look at the output modes of the radar. There's 6 different modes. You have a high and low. High is 25 lumen, low is 5 lumen. It gives you 16 hours of runtime. Then you have 4 flash modes. You have a slow flash, which is 10 lumen and the maximum 23 hour. A really bright 80 lumen daytime flash, which is great obviously for daytime. Day worn is kind of a eco flash, and that's where you get the actual mode switch if you detect a car. And finally a pulse, which just goes up and down. You can see on the bike, it looks pretty good. The styling is very derivative of the Garmin, and you can see a centered focus LED and then the transparent cutout on the side. That actually gives you decent side visibility. It really would have been nice if they added a little bit more design detail and make it stand out, as it just seems like a copy. Otherwise, you can see the riding footage here looks really good. So with the daytime flash, it's nice and bright. So definitely something you can use during the day. It only switches modes if you're in the warning mode. So you have to be in that kind of eco flash to see it switch and detects a car. Here you can see some radar performance. And you can see when you have a lot of traffic, you don't really get the full 8 cars. It doesn't seem to be responsive enough to do that, but it does catch all the cars near you, and it updates pretty quickly. We're pretty impressed with it. You get a couple false positives here and there, but for the most part, it's nice and consistent. And here you can see that car turning off, so it drops some detection. Otherwise, the 140 meter detection range is a little bit hit or miss. So with the faster moving cars, it's not fast enough to really see it and show up on the screen, but you can see the bigger vehicles like that bus will actually show up from long distance away. So overall, nice performance. It's pretty on par with a lot of radars we've used, just not as responsive as some of the other models. As you can see here, we've reviewed quite a few of these radars. There's a lot of options on the market, but the most similar one is probably the Bryton Gardia. You can see the Gardia has a little bit more clean, modern design, while this one has the unusual crease here. But you can see they both have the radar on top. There's more squared off profile and very similar form factors. You can see about the same thickness. The Ravemen uses the Garmin style mount, while the Bryton uses Bryton. And you can see it's a little bit thicker, but otherwise very similar user interfaces and similar specs across the board. The Magicshine R300 is probably the most unusual radar on the market, and one of my favorites just because of the form factor. You can see the taillight is far more advanced, so you actually have this rotating animation instead of just a single LED, and you have cob side LEDs. So it really looks a lot more unique than this more simple single LED setup, and has better visibility at different side angles. But the downside of the Magicshine is it's quite a bit thicker and heavier. So this one actually is a lot heavier. You can turn off the radar on this one and use it just as a taillight, or you could turn off the light and use the radar only. You can't do that with the Ravemen, but it's kind of a feature I don't think a lot of people use anyways. It's good to have the light on even during the day. But you can see the downside of the Magicshine one is even smaller mount, which doesn't really work with this. It's too heavy, so this one moves around, while this is a lot lighter and slightly larger, so you don't have that problem with the vibration. The older Magicshine was one of Magishine's first ones, and you can see a little bit more generic. Has this cob LED ring, but doesn't have that nice focus LED like the Ravemen has, so you need that for long distance visibility. But you can see otherwise very similar, and this is the difference between the full Garmin mount and the one on the Ravemen. So you can see it's a smaller design. It's also the iGPSPORT, which again, all very similar designs, side cutouts, a little bit more of a shield shape. and more branding on here, but very similar performance and specs. The Trek, they simply took their Trek flare light on the back, put it in a bigger body and called this the CarBack. This one has a battery gauge on the side with multiple LEDs, which is a really nice feature. You don't have to guess whether it's just above 30% or not. But you can see smaller and no side visibility, which is a big downside of this light setup. Well, at least with this one, you have the side cutout. So definitely a competitive one. It's not as cheap as it used to be. It's $100 now, but you can probably get this on sale for even less. And you get the nice form factor and simple installation. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the Ravemen NT201. What we like about it is that it's well priced, so pretty affordable at $100, and also despite being their first radar, you have minimal false positives and pretty consistent detection. That's on par with a lot of other radars on the market. You also have bright daytime flash and pretty good side visibility with the little side slit that goes around it. As far as negatives, the design of this is pretty derivative of the Garmin Varia. It would have been nice if they mixed it up, changed the LED design, added cob LEDs like the Magicshine to make it look a little bit different and improve the nighttime visibility. It also has confusing battery indicator. So if it has more than 30%, the LED just does not turn on, which is really confusing. So it's really just a low battery indicator rather than being a multi-bar one, which would actually give you more information. Also, it does have an automatic mode switch, but it's only available if you're in the lower output warning flash mode. It would have been nice if they had that mode in all of them, as it's a feature I think most cyclists like. Taking everything into account would give the radar an 8.5 out of 10. It's effective and affordable. I'd say it's about a mid-level radar. It's not the best one on the market, but it's not the worst either. Definitely a couple things they can improve, but overall it's a pretty good attempt at their first radar and gives you consistent performance. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.